place for quick summaries of movies with jaw-dropping twists. Let's dive in. Our movie starts with Ross, the President of the United States, as he's preparing to go on stage. At that moment, he asks his assistant if his daughter has called, and she says no. Just then, the announcer calls his name. He steps on stage confidently with a transparent shield in hand. All of Ross's supporters cheer for him as he begins his inspiring speech. He states that humanity is currently going through critical moments after half of the population disappeared and a strange mass appeared in the Indian Ocean. The only solution to all these problems, he says, is unity, working together as one. We then see a reporter discussing the conference and mentioning that the president was referring to Captain America when he talked about unity. He plans to rely on Captain America to protect the country in the coming period. Meanwhile, Captain America is at a bar, watching the news with a big smile on his face. The reporter continues, revealing that the president's daughter has been missing for a while. 5 months later, we see a plane heading to Mexico. After a while, it drops its cargo at a large monastery there. Captain America's assistant and a military officer are monitoring the entire operation via radar. When one of them asks the other what's happening, they learn that the cargo is classified and that after eliminating the gang, they'll deliver it to the White House. Captain America arrives at the scene, showing off his acrobatic moves, and it's clear that his suit has been significantly upgraded. He pulls out his shield and takes down the gang in less than a second. Using the radar in his suit, he discovers there's a hostage in the castle. He informs Joaquin, his assistant, to rescue the hostage, but the officer refuses, insisting the cargo is the priority. Captain America, however, defies him, saying, "Forget the cargo, I'm rescuing the hostage." Meanwhile, the gang leader, Snyder, kills one of the hostages and orders his men to finish off the rest. But suddenly, Captain America's shield bursts through the door, taking down several gang members. Captain America follows, fighting them all. Amidst the chaos, the soldier monitoring the radar notices the cargo has been moved. He informs Captain America, who dismisses him, saying he's busy dealing with the gang. After defeating them, he searches for the hostage and finds one of the gang members holding them captive. Captain America's suit drone eliminates the gang member, and the hostage is finally freed. Captain America receives a call from Joaquin, who informs him that he's coming to continue the mission and will confront Snyder before he escapes. Snyder tries to use a protective shield, but Captain America recognizes him as an old criminal. A fierce fight ensues, with Snyder laughing maniacally every time Captain America hits him. Joaquin arrives at the monastery, wearing Captain America's backup suit. He takes down 3 motorcyclists trying to escape with the cargo. Captain America eventually defeats the giant enemy, and reinforcements arrive. Meanwhile, the president visits his wife Karen's grave, lamenting how his actions drove his daughter away. One of his actions included torturing the Hulk, whom his daughter loved. An agent calls to inform him that the cargo is safe and that Captain America and the forces rescued the hostages. At the same time, Captain America discusses with his friend Duffy how such an important cargo could be delivered to an open location like the monastery. Joaquin jokes with Captain America, asking him to teach him his signature finishing move. Captain America agrees to take him to someone who can train him from the ground up. The next day, Captain America and Joaquin visit the famous boxing coach, Isaiah, who becomes Captain America's spiritual mentor. When Joaquin teases Isaiah about his age, Isaiah demonstrates his strength, revealing himself as a legendary fighter from 30 years ago. Joaquin apologizes, but Isaiah isn't proud of his past because the government ended his career and imprisoned him for 30 years, conducting numerous experiments on him. Isaiah and Captain America train together, with Isaiah showing incredible strength. Suddenly, Captain America receives a call from the president, informing him of an important meeting. Isaiah, who harbors resentment toward the president for his past actions, leaves the training session. Captain America follows him, trying to convince him that the president has changed. He assures Isaiah that he has a friend in the White House who will inform him of any wrongdoing. Captain America reveals that the president has summoned him and Joaquin to the White House and that he agreed only if Isaiah could join them. After much debate, Isaiah agrees. That night, the 3 of them arrive at the White House, where a grand party is taking place. They take a selfie together using Joaquin's phone. The president summons Captain America to his office, leaving Isaiah and Joaquin together. Isaiah asks Joaquin to send him the photo. Meanwhile, the president thanks Captain America for returning the cargo to the White House, thus saving the treaty that all world leaders are set to sign that day. He then asks Captain America to help reassemble the Avengers. Captain America is shocked as it was the government that disbanded the Avengers in the first place. The president convinces him that the country now needs the Avengers to protect it. The president then meets with Japanese Prime Minister Miyazaki, with Captain America welcoming him. They all proceed to the conference hall, where world leaders are gathered. There is a Russian man talking to them about the mass that appeared in the Indian Ocean, which every country wanted for itself. He explains that they managed to extract a type of metal called adamantium. They used it to control the immense power of this mass. The only sample of this metal that was manufactured was discovered in Japan, but unfortunately it was stolen from the Japanese mining site. It turns out that the cargo Captain America saved at the beginning of the movie was connected to this. At that moment, everyone applauds Captain America. Afterward, Ross continues his speech, saying that if all the leaders agree to produce the metal controlling this mass in equal quantities, peace will prevail among them. Before he finishes speaking, Isaiah suddenly stands up and shoots at the president, causing chaos. Everyone pulls out their weapons, and the president's security retaliates. Captain America tries to take the gun from Isaiah, but Isaiah grabs him by the neck, lifts him off the ground, throws him aside, and runs to escape. Every time Isaiah is shot at, Captain America protects him until Isaiah jumps out of a window. Captain America follows him until he gets close to him. But the strange thing is that Isaiah tells him, "I was brought here, and what's happening isn't my doing." At the same time, forces surround Isaiah, leaving him no choice but to surrender. Later, Captain America goes to Ross, who asks his government members to leave him alone, except for his security advisor, who is the only one allowed to stay. She reveals that 5 other members of the military and security forces also attempted to assassinate the president, not just Isaiah, indicating a premeditated attack. Captain America tries to convince Ross that Isaiah couldn't have done it and was under someone else's control. He insists someone must have been manipulating him, but Ross doesn't believe him. Captain America requests permission to investigate and prove his friend's innocence, but the president refuses and informs him that his services are no longer needed. A few days later, Captain America visits Isaiah, who tells him he doesn't know how he did it. All he remembers is being in the meeting and then suddenly finding himself outside the White House, being arrested by the forces. Captain America promises to help him, but Isaiah tells him, "If you really want to help me, don't visit me again." Afterward, he returns to his cell. During this time, the security advisor is seen watching and recording them on video. Later, Captain America contacts Joaquin and asks him to retrieve the surveillance footage from the event. When they review it, they notice Isaiah's phone flashing strangely, and the same thing happens with all the others who attacked the president. Captain America informs Joaquin of his findings, confirming his suspicions, and asks him to gather all the information he can about the president's security advisor. Meanwhile, she reviews the footage herself and sees the same thing Joaquin saw. Back to Captain America. Suddenly, Snyder, the gang leader, shoots at his car. Afterwards, Snyder calls someone and claims he has eliminated Captain America. Snyder stabs him with a weapon, but Captain America resists and demands to know who's behind it all. Snyder shoots at him, but Captain America dodges and escapes. Snyder reveals that the person who wanted to buy the adamantium from him promised to pay him double if he killed Captain America. He didn't realize Snyder would have done it for free. Eventually, Captain America defeats Snyder, knocking him unconscious. At that moment, Snyder's phone rings and someone congratulates Captain America for killing Snyder, warning him to brace himself for what's coming next. Meanwhile, at the White House, the Indian and Parisian presidents are on a video call with Ross, expressing their frustration over the recent events at the White House. They mock him for being unable to protect himself, questioning how he could protect them in a treaty. Ross, feeling cornered, assures them he has the situation under control and has arrested the criminals. However, they demand he reinstates the Japanese president into the treaty or else they will both withdraw. When Captain America returns to the base, he informs Joaquin of what happened and hands him Snyder's phone to trace the source of the last call. Joaquin discovers the call originated from a place called Echo 1 in a forest in Virginia, a perfect location for a military base or prison, as it lacks radar, satellites, or infrastructure. Captain America takes his suit and shield, and with Joaquin heads there. Meanwhile, the security advisor visits Isaiah in prison to interrogate him. The guard informs her that the 5 others are in cell 15, while Isaiah is in cell 14. When she goes to meet them, a guard suddenly opens the cell and kills everyone inside before taking his own life. The next day, the president is on Air Force One, heading to Japan. He learns from his guard that Captain America and Joaquin have disappeared, and their whereabouts are unknown. He instructs her to form a team to find them, stating he doesn't want any surprises. At the same time, Captain America and Joaquin reach Echo 1 and discover it's a prison, but there are no prisoners. They find a research lab with a certificate on the wall for a doctor specializing in biological weapons. They also find photos of everyone involved in the attack, including Isaiah. Through research, they learn that Isaiah and the 5 others were mind-controlled through light emitted from their phones. They also discover that minds can be controlled using specific sound frequencies. Joaquin copies all the research onto a flash drive. Meanwhile, Captain America finds a strange-looking box. Back in Japan, the president tries to convince the Japanese president not to withdraw from the treaty, but the Japanese president refuses, accusing him of being behind the theft of the metal in the first place and politely expelling him. In the lab, a man named Samuel appears, whom Captain America knows well. When asked why he wants to kill Ross, Samuel responds, "Maybe because when he discovered my mental abilities, he locked me here for 16 years, for example, to exploit my intelligence in his evil plans. Anyway, he knows that I was behind the assassination attempt, yet he still keeps me imprisoned. If I get rid of him, we will all be at peace." Meanwhile, Captain's father is being trained, stabilizing his position, imitating Captain America's moves. Then men called the Bizarro are ordered to eliminate both of them. He leaves them and walks away. Of course, a fierce battle ensues between them and Captain America and Joaquin, but they manage to defeat them. When they leave the lab, they find another group of Samuel's men confronting them. However, Ruth, the advisor, appears and helps Captain America, taking down all the men on her own. The 3 of them escape from the prison. Later, the Rapid Intervention Forces arrest the captain, but the advisor tells them they are with her. However, they hear over the radio the melody that controls minds. In a split second, they attack Captain America and his companions. At that moment, he and Joaquin steal a car and escape. Meanwhile, the president decides to send his forces to Japan to steal adamantium because their president refused the treaty, which means Japan will dominate the world. At the same time, Captain's father reaches a nearby military base. The base commander is Davy, his friend. Joaquin manages to plant a virus that neutralizes Samuel's mind-controlling melody. Afterward, Captain America hands his friend a box of medicine found in Samuel's lab, asking him to analyze its components and purpose. Since the base houses the imprisoned Cinder, the captain speaks with him, asking for all the information he knows about Samuel. Cinder agrees on the condition of reducing his prison sentence in exchange for the information, which the captain accepts. Cinder reveals that Samuel worked in the lab with Hulk, the Green Man, and was exposed to excessive gamma radiation, becoming extremely intelligent. At the time, the president, who led the task force to capture Hulk, exposed Samuel to even more radiation, making him incredibly smart. General Ross exploited Samuel for his own benefit, forcing him to develop advanced weapons and imprisoning him in Aqua 1 prison, promising to release him when he became president. However, that never happened, and Samuel seeks revenge. Samuel hired Cinder to steal adamantium to sabotage the treaty and ignite a war. This would lead world leaders to eliminate Ross. Captain America hears all this and decides to prepare to head to Washington to confront Ross and reveal everything. But he learns that Ross is currently on a destroyer at sea, preparing to attack Japan. The captain decides to prevent this war at all costs. Meanwhile, Samuel meets with the Indian president and eliminates him. That night, Captain America, Joaquin, and Ruth reach the presidential destroyer and enter the operations room. Captain America explains everything to Ruth, revealing that Samuel is behind all the events and is controlling people's minds with a melody and phone lights. He also shows him an iPad with a plan to overthrow him, stating that he found it in Samuel's lab, meaning he is also controlling Ross's health. This explains why Ross has been feeling strange lately. Ross denies it, but the captain confronts him with blood tests and heart scans from the lab. Ross gets angry and admits he has a severe illness he didn't want anyone to know about. He secretly visited Samuel, who conducted necessary tests and created pills that have kept him alive. In exchange, he built Samuel a lab in the prison, promising to release him soon. Suddenly, a soldier informs the president that 2 of their planes are attacking the Japanese military base. Without hesitation, Captain and Joaquin prepare to stop them. The pilots, under Samuel's control, fire missiles at the Japanese. Captain America and Joaquin manage to take down the planes. The Japanese, however, expel Captain America and Joaquin. Ross contacts the Japanese president to explain the situation. Suddenly, Ross feels suffocated and leaves the operations center. Meanwhile, the Japanese fire missiles at the Americans. Captain America and Joaquin rush to destroy the missiles mid-air before they cause destruction. Meanwhile, Samuel tries to control Ross's mind, taunting him by saying he will expose his life to everyone, including his daughter. He urges Ross to unleash his inner rage. Ross resists. Back with Captain America, he manages to control the American plane at the last moment before it attacks the Japanese fleet. Joaquin, however, is seriously injured and falls into the ocean. At that moment, Ross overcomes Samuel's control. Joaquin is taken to the hospital in critical condition. At the same time, Davy receives a call revealing that the pills Captain America gave him are filled with gamma radiation and are designed to absorb blood from the body. He ends the call abruptly and rushes to warn Captain America. Suddenly, he experiences severe pain in his head and finds Samuel standing before him, holding a device emitting radiation to destabilize him. Samuel increases the radiation levels, killing Davy. Meanwhile, the American president prepares to speak at a conference. Samuel surrenders to Captain America, which seems strange. He tells him, "Ross turned me into a monster, and now I'll do to him what he did to me. Just wait and watch." Samuel is arrested. During the conference, Ross answers journalists' questions when suddenly Samuel's voice is heard through loudspeakers. He reveals that Ross is not what people think and plays a recorded conversation between them. Samuel continues to taunt Ross, saying his daughter hates him for what he's done. At this moment, security tries to escort Ross out, but he loses control and transforms into Hulk. Not the usual green one, but a red Hulk. He attacks everyone present. Captain America appears and confronts Hulk, but Hulk attacks him, throwing him 90 meters away. When the guards shoot at him, he is unaffected and climbs onto the White House. Fighter jets attack him, but he destroys them. So Captain America is lured away from the White House, and a fierce battle takes place between them. Of course, Hulk is much stronger, and he breaks the wings of Captain America's suit and also destroys his laser robots. The two keep fighting each other when Captain America finds no solution except to remind him of his daughter, and he actually does that. At that moment, the monster inside Hulk starts to calm down little by little, returning to his normal form. They take him and transfer him to the hospital. After that, we learn that the treaty has been finalized, and Captain America goes to visit Ross in prison. We find out that Ross resigned voluntarily because if he ever feels anger again, he'll transform into Hulk, and no one knows what he'd become at that point. That's why the best thing for him is to stay in prison. Captain America even brings his daughter to visit him. Also, Isaiah gets out of prison and thanks Captain America's father for standing by him. After that, Captain America visits Joaquin in the hospital, and they laugh and joke around for a while. They say Ross was right and that they need to assemble another Avengers team. They mention that when he's ready, his suit will be prepared. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an updates. See you in the next video.